Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is our third call via Zoom. This social isolation is lasting longer than a lot of us would have liked, but we have found, I think that this format has been an effective one for us to communicate with the growers. I think from the feedback that we've been getting, it's something that we'll continue probably even after this social isolation experiment is over. I think this has been a good mechanism by which to get some information out to the field in a pretty efficient manner. So here we are after Labor Day, and we still have about 15% of the California fruit left. That is more fruit left than we've had at this point in the year in probably the last 10 years. You know, it used to be very common for California to extend the season out this long. You know, I grew up in Napomo, and the idea there was to always wait until San Diego and Ventura County finished, and the market would historically rise. And it was not uncommon for us when I was growing up not to even start harvesting until now. Things have changed though in the last 10 years. The market has been much stronger in the summertime when demand is strong, and the high prices, especially over the last 5 years in the summer, have lent themselves to us being, for all intents and purposes, almost done by early September. So this is unique to us for the last 10 years, but not unique to us historically out of California. We definitely appreciate everybody's patience and everybody's cooperation in extending the harvest over these additional weeks in order to lend some stability and take some of the pressure off of the summer months. And we know that we're not alone in this by looking at the daily bin counts from the industry, and also looking at some of the growers, especially in the Goleta area, that are still harvesting today, that, you know, not only the last 5 years, but the last 10 or 15 years have really been done by now. So the fact that some of those ranches are still harvesting shows that we are far from alone in the strategy to extend the season over more weeks. Index has been really working with the California Avocado Commission to try to synergize our efforts in the market with California fruit, synergize those with the programs that the California Avocado Commission is doing. You know, I used to say, it used to be that if you drew a line from Houston to Seattle, that most of the avocados were eaten to the west of that line. That's no longer the case. Now, you know, avocados are eaten pretty robustly throughout the entire country, but we still have a pretty defined line. Now it's between, I would say, Phoenix and Seattle, where you can really get a premium for California avocados. And that's where our efforts on finishing strong out of California are focused right now, both within Index's efforts as well as the California Avocado Commission's efforts. So some of the chains that continue to pay a strong premium for California fruit include Raley's up in the Bay Area, Albertsons Safeway, Harmon's, and Costco. Costco's been a big supporter of the larger sizes, especially in the last 3 to 4 weeks as the Peruvian volumes have been declining. So that's been a nice boost to the avocado sales. One outlier to the east of that line, which has been a very, very welcome one, has been HEB down in Texas. They have been a strong supporter of large fruit coming out of California. over the last probably 3 to 5 weeks or so. And why is that? That is because as Mexico transitioned from old crop to new crop, they really have had a shortage of large sizes. So, you know, the new crop or Flor Loca has only been on the tree for 6 or 7 months and really hasn't had a lot of time to size up. And the California fruit, including the lambs, which have been on the tree for over a year now, had the size, and so there was some nice complementarity between the two, and we've been able to ship more fruit to Texas over the last few weeks than we have in a while. I'd like to build a little bit on the idea of this tiered pricing between California fruit and exports, and talk a little bit about organics, how that pertains to organics, because we're really appreciative of the cooperation that the organic growers have given us over the last month or so. So in the summertime, the organic avocados were really protected from the supply situation that conventional avocados had. And why was that? There's not a lot of there's not a lot of organic avocados coming from South America, so that was less of an issue. And Mexico, although they had a long crop last year, they did not run out of conventional avocados, but they did, the organic avocados tend to peter out before the conventional ones do. So the supply out of Mexico was reduced in May and June, and that allowed organic avocados from California to be a little bit protected from some of the volatility that was happening in the conventional market. Now that is not the case. Mexico is into its new crop, into its beginning its third month now in the new crop, and they have plenty of organics on the front side of their season. And so the organic Mexican market has been declining in recent weeks. Now we have very, very good business for California organics that pay a significant premium, talking about in the 30-cent range or so. But it's a pretty delicate and very limited number of buyers. So we're very appreciative. I know Giuseppe Bailey and the rest of the field team have been working with the organic growers to try to tailor the harvest just to that kind of super premium market, and that has been working for us, because once you get outside of that kind of super premium that's willing to pay above and beyond for California fruit, it's a little bit sloppy real fast as you're competing in a declining Mexican organic market. Let's talk a little bit about the heat wave, which I imagine is on top of everybody's mind, having just suffered through 3 days at home of incredibly hot temperatures. It's still too early to tell the true extent of the damage. We know that we saw the high teens, in a high 117 to 120 in some of the hottest areas of the avocado producing industry in Ojai, Fillmore, Escondido, temperatures in the high teens and up to 120, 121. The damage in these areas could be as bad as it was in 2018. As of yesterday, there was some optimism and some hope that maybe it wasn't quite as bad, but we know that we're only 1 day into it. And we know that the severity is not going to be fully manifested until we get a week or more out. Other areas today look better. There's a big, it was over 100 throughout the state, including the avocado growing areas, including San Luis Obispo County. But there's a big difference we know between 105 and 117. So the areas where it stayed 102, 105, today those look like they are fine. The good news is that this heat wave was well forecasted, so it gave everybody the opportunity to make sure that their orchards were well irrigated in preparation for this. This wasn't a spontaneous. This wasn't something spontaneous that happened unexpected. So the fact that it was well forecasted allowed everybody to be caught up on the irrigation, which was nice. We've had a number of growers calling that remember the July of 2018 heat wave is fresh in their mind, and wanting to know, how this one might compare in the market, because that one set up a very volatile, some very, very severe market difficulties, for 6 weeks coming out of it. And right now it feels like it's not going to be quite as severe. We are in a slightly weak market, but that has more to do with demand and with the larger crop out of Mexico that I'll get into in a minute than it does with the heat wave. So in July of 2018, we were earlier in the season. There was still a tremendous amount of fruit from eastern Ventura County, San Diego, and Riverside. So there was a lot more fruit in the hottest production areas in the state. So there was a lot more fruit affected versus having a heat wave happen in September, like we just went through. So in July of 2018, we know that there was a lot of field ripes that came in from throughout the state into the tune of 17, 18, 19 million pounds per week, and that had directly negative implications in the market going out 3, 4, 5 weeks after that. That doesn't seem to be the case right now. California is picking 8 or 9 million pounds per week. We could see a little bit of an increase. What's interesting is that this heat wave was so well forecasted. It feels like we saw that increase come before the heat wave, people trying to get a little more fruit off before it was exposed to the heat, rather than after. But again, we're only a couple of days after the event, but we're not going to get back up to the high teen million pound range coming in each week. We might see a 10 or 15% bump, but not more than that. The other difference is that all the growers that we're going to pick are already picking. So it's not like a lot of people, it's not like back in July where you have a lot of people that were not in the market suddenly decided to get into the market. So that adds a little bit of stability right now. And the fruit that we saw going into the bins yesterday was very solid, very, still hard, still had a lot of green on it. So not like we saw 2 years ago where there was a significant amount of field ripes coming in that then forced us to have to run the fruit more slowly. We have had strategic discussions with the packing house on what's going on right now, and they're taking a closer look at the fruit. And we're also with the heat wave of the last few weeks, we have been running refrigerated trucks for the long haul down to Bloom to add one more level of stability in the supply chain. Let's talk a little bit about the market and the extending of the season that we're doing right now. The theory behind extending the season was really kind of threefold, and we've talked about that, to add stability and remove some of the stressors of further oversupplying the market in the late spring and early summer. The second one is that we knew that there was going to be less competition in September than there was back in June, July, and August. So The last time we got together, there were still as many as 9 flavors of avocados in the market in the first part of August. We knew that the Mexican old crop was going to disappear. We knew that the fruit from the southern growing districts in California was going to disappear. We knew that Peru was going to be finished in their shipments to the U.S. Colombia would be gone, etc. So we knew that there would be less sources of avocados coming to market in September than we had in July and early August. And the third theory was that with fewer sources coming into the market, you could add some stability. And unfortunately, the first few did play out. We removed some instability from the market by slowing the picking and extending the California harvest over more weeks. We do today have less sources of avocados in the market. But unfortunately, the market has not been, is not better today than it has been the last few weeks. Because Mexico has been able to fill the gap that was left by the southern growing districts of California and Peru. Oppium, about a week and a half ago, came out with their crop projection for the 2021 season, and that is up about 19% versus last year, bringing their projections to about the 2.4 billion pound level, excuse me. This is the first significant increase since the 2015-2016 crop. It's not, since the 2015-2016 crop, Mexico's really been stuck in the 2 billion pound level, despite adding acreage every year, to the tune of 3 to 5%, depending on the year. This year they added 6% more than last year, and now we're seeing the accumulation of all those new acreages coming into production and seeing this this 19% increase in supply. So they've been able to fill the void that Peru and Southern California left in their exiting the market. And today, Mexico's got lower prices than they have in 5 years. 19% versus last year to the 2.4 billion pound level. That is the first significant increase that we've seen out of Mexico in 5 years. The prices are down to the about 27 pesos per kilo, which is around $1.25. That's at the farm gate. Mexico's always had a threshold of $1 per kilo, pardon me, that they wanted to hit, below which they would not harvest for the United States. And they really haven't had to harvest very many times below that threshold. And it's been much higher than that for most of the last 5 years. But we are, with the prices now down in the $1.25 level, we're starting to get some nervous questions from some of the nationwide chains in the United States about, okay, are these lower prices, is that starting to build any type of resentment in Mexico that could trigger a strong reaction like we saw in 2016, 2017, 2018, where there were harvest strikes about, sometime between October and November, that resulted in really severe volatility in the market. As of right now, there's not any significant rumors of those, although they tend to come on very, very quickly. So we're paying attention to the possibility of that. Next week, Mexico will be taking a couple of days off. September 16th is Independence Day, and depending on which municipio a grower is in, they'll take either the 15th or the 16th off. That will cause a little bit of a disruption in the market. It doesn't sound like they're going to take more days off than that, though. It's the holiday falls on a Wednesday this year, so it sounds like it'll be limited to the 1 day and not extend to kind of a 3-day or 4-day weekend like it has in the past. So in summary, I want to thank everybody for their cooperation in extending the season. We think that that has helped minimize some of the instabilities in the market. We will continue to assess the heat damage over the next couple of weeks, and the field team will be keeping you updated on the impacts that that has had on the 2021 crop. And our sales team is continuing to work with the California Avocado Commission to keep the interest in the fruit flow for California avocados strong over the next 5 to 6 weeks as we finish out this California season. So that brings me to the end of the report that I put together. I'd be happy to entertain some questions or maybe some comments.
JR, I'm working off an iPhone and I'm looking up at the chat screen. I don't see any questions. Do you have any questions on your screen, JR, or does anybody have any questions for Giovanni that maybe I'm not seeing on the typed up responses?
I don't see any questions.
Giovanni, maybe we have an easy crowd this meeting.
Okay, well, if we experience technical difficulties, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself personally or any of the fieldmen, and we'd be happy to answer any questions or observations that you might have.
I'll give you one, Giovanni. What you said, 15% of the crop is left. What is that in pounds? What does that equal? More. I mean, what are you guys expecting that to be?
Probably about well, if you extrapolated it out to the industry, that would be about 50 million pounds. I was talking more specifically for index, but if you extrapolate it out to the industry, it would be probably about 50 million pounds. So we have more fruit in San Luis County left. I believe that was Ivor, if I recognize your voice. More fruit in Carpinteria left, and even some in Goleta, and then there are pockets of Ventura County where we're still bringing in the fruit from. So there's a couple of pretty significant ranches, pretty large ranches that we're just getting started, and so that's where a significant percentage of that remaining fruit statewide is left.
Ivor, this is Keith. Ivor, the year-to-date number is 344 million. So, you know, some people believe that the commission is still working off of a 373 million pound crop. You know, especially before this heat wave, Index thought it was a little bit larger than that, maybe closer to 390 million in California. So we probably have somewhere, I think 50 would be the high water mark. Maybe closer to 35 to 40 million pounds left to go.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, or if there are other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me by phone or out to your field rep. And with that, I think I will say thank you to everybody for your cooperation, and thank you for joining us. And right now, I think we're going to continue trying to do this on a monthly basis, even during the off season. So I look forward to talking to everybody in a month. Thank you.